On this day in history, August 23rd, 1305, Sir William Wallace, who led the Scottish resistance to England, is executed for high treason. When Wallace was growing up, King Alexander III ruled Scotland. However, Alexander died when he was thrown from his horse, and the only remaining descendant and heir to the throne was his 3-year-old granddaughter, Margaret, Maid of Norway. Margaret fell ill on the voyage from Norway to Scotland, and died in late September 1290. The lack of a clear heir led to a period known as the Great Cause, when a total of 13 contenders lay claim to the Scottish throne. Under the threat of civil unrest, King Edward I of England was invited by Scottish nobility to arbitrate. However, he got a little too comfortable there. When a man named John Ballion was pronounced King of Scotland, King Edward took steps to undermine John and keep Scotland under England's authority, demanding homage be paid to himself and military support in his war against France. Scotland was fed up with this overstepping king and formalized their opposition by pledging allegiance to France. In retaliation for Scotland's treaty with France, Edward I invaded. Not a lot is known about William Wallace, but it's assumed he must have had some prior military experience. The first act definitely known to have been carried out by Wallace was the killing of the English High Sheriff in May of 1297. Some of the Scottish nobility began to submit to England, but Wallace continued to fight with the rebellion. Eventually, Wallace led an invasion through northern England, following the English army who was fleeing south. They swept across England and pillaged over 700 villages. When he returned to Scotland laden with the spoils of war, Wallace was knighted. After 9 years of leading the Scottish rebellion against England, William Wallace was eventually captured. He was taken to London to Westminster Hall. He was tried for treason, but his defense was that he, unlike most of Scottish nobility, had never pledged allegiance to England. Following the trial, William Wallace was taken to the Tower of London, stripped naked, and dragged through the city by a horse. He was then hanged, drawn, and quartered, which is an absolutely unfathomably brutal way to be executed. Don't look it up. His head was then dipped in tar and placed on a spike atop London Bridge. Rough stuff. I'm Eve Ruin, and I'm ruining history. Although I think in this instance, England probably ruined this one first.